that has been used in the Church International that we will be using this afternoon. It's a spiritual conversation. Say that word. And in a spiritual conversation, what we are doing is we are listening not only to what the person is saying or not saying, we are listening to what the Holy Spirit is saying. Our disposition in our listening is what is the Spirit saying. And how do we discern that? By consolation. You feel when somebody is sharing something, you feel something inside that brings you to feel closer to God. By an insight. While they were sharing, some insight comes to you and you see something clearer than you've seen it before. By a sense inside of you of the Spirit nudging and asking or inviting you towards something else. So the way we do this conversation is this. In the first rounds of the conversation, and we'll have 5 in a group, and we're not going to take a long time to set up the groups. You're going to pull 5 people right where you are, and you will go somewhere or stay where you are in your group. So 5 people in the group, 1 person will convene the group, 1 person will keep time, and 1 person will write the report. What's 1 person doing? 1 person will, and the 3rd person will write for the report. Okay? And the way the conversation goes is this. We will give you a question, and the question will come up on the screen in a short while. We will give you a question for discernment. And the question is, what do we need to do to exercise the gifts of the Holy Spirit in our prayer groups? Put back the question for me. What do we need to do to exercise the gifts of the Holy Spirit more faithfully in our prayer groups? Because this suggests we may not be doing it. So if you can change that. What do we need to do to exercise the gifts of the Holy Spirit more faithfully in our prayer groups? And this is a synodal conversation. When we get into the group, the person who is convening will remind, okay, who's going to be keeping time, who's going to be taking notes. And then we start. And you start by having a pause. Or I'll do the pause in here first. So you start with a short pause and a prayer for the Holy Spirit to ask the Spirit to guide your conversation. And then each person will speak for no more than 3 minutes. For no more than 3 minutes. And what you're speaking about is not what I think we should be doing. What we're speaking about is what I believe God is asking that we do. You understand the difference? So that means that in our moment of prayer before we go into the conversation, you have to be asking God and God's Holy Spirit to rest in your heart what we should be doing to be able to achieve this objective. Let me ask a question first. Do you believe we need to exercise the gifts of the Holy Spirit in our prayer groups more faithfully? You're sure, eh? Otherwise, we scrap that question one time. Do you believe we have growing to grow in exercising the gifts of the Holy Spirit in our prayer groups? Do you believe that? No. If you believe that, raise your hand for me. Okay. Thank you. Because otherwise, I'd tell you hello, and you'd tell me hi. So if we believe this is something that we need, then we believe that this work is a sacred work and it's a matter of discernment. And then we also believe that we will get to this point if we listen carefully to the Holy Spirit and the discernment of the Holy Spirit. So when we get into the groups and we start the sharing, each person shares for 3 minutes on what they are hearing from God about this matter. And each one shares. When the last one shares, you pause. You pause for a minute. You close your eyes and you ask the Lord to show you, reveal to you where you want us to go. The second rounds now, what you're sharing is, when did you experience some consolation, an insight, or some sense of what the Spirit was saying when you heard the sharing of other people? This is not a continuation of your point. You've left your point alone. This is now, when you heard this brother or this sister sharing, you know, I felt a joy because, and you share that. This sharing now is 2 minutes each, no more. How many minutes? So you now go around the group a second time. When you finish, you pause. And when you pause now, you're asking now for revelation from God. This is not trying to see it the way I was seeing it when I came into the conversation. This is now trying to see it through God's eyes. And you ask a new question. What is the golden thread that runs through all of the sharing that we have heard in the group? Something that the Spirit has been saying that keeps coming back to us in the group. What is the golden thread? And that's what your scribe makes sure to capture really carefully. And when we come back, what we will do is we will take some of the matter from the group and listen to some of the sharing out of the group. But we would ask everyone who is a scribe to bring their matter forward so we could take a picture of it or tear it out and hand it to us so that we have a copy of it, so that the team could then go through that and discern through that what are some of the things that the Spirit is saying to us as an assembly about the exercising of the gifts of the Holy Spirit in our prayer groups more faithfully. Any questions? Any questions? Yes, Dana.
The part 3.
Part 3. Part 3 is trying to find the synthesis. And that's asking God to reveal to us what is in God's heart about this matter. So this is asking for revelation from God. And what's in God's heart here? And the way we share it is, you ask yourself, what's the golden thread? What's the thing that connects all that you have heard in this group so far? What's the one thing that really seems to be dotting everything or running through everything? And then each person in the group shares that, what they think the golden thread is, what they think the revelation is. And when each person shares that, again, that's a minute and a half at most, because it's just stating what you're hearing. When each person shares that, then the group looks at what was shared, and maybe something might emerge at that stage in a conversation that you might have that might pull that together into some other synthesis that you will have. Everybody's good? Everybody's good? Any questions? No? So we know what we're doing? So this first part, first decide on your 5. Just decide on who are the 5 in your group. Just decide. So if it's only 4 in a row, grab somebody from the row behind.